I have the lathe in the garage now. The concrete floor is not very even, so I need to chock up the base where it sits on the concrete so that the lathe is steady. I also need to make sure that the lathe is level, or at least that each end, the headstock and the tailstock, are both at the same slope. In this photo you can see one of the wooden packers which is placed under each of the mounting feet on the lathe. You can also see the round washer I've pushed under there to stop it rocking back and forth. I have a carpenter's 1 meter spirit level, which is nowhere near accurate enough for the task. A friend lent me his machine level, but it's not accurate enough either, and he actually suggested a better method, which I will illustrate further in the rest of this video. The method suggested to get the lathe level was to put 2 beams across the bed, one at the headstock, one at the tailstock, and just make sure that they're parallel. So they can be altered by packing up the feet of the lathe, which will twist the bed and get the 2 ends aligned. Now I modified the suggested method by using just the 1 beam, which you can see in this photo, with a piece of builder's twine stretched tight across the top, which I then illuminated with a laser level. When the string is illuminated with the laser, it causes it to fluoresce, making it very, very obvious if the string is illuminated for the full length, or if part of the string, one end or the other, is above or below the laser, indicating a slope at that point of the bed. In this photo you can see that the laser is above the string on the left, indicating that the lathe is actually tilted back slightly, causing the beam to be high on the right, low on the left. So it needs to be packed up at the back. The laser level is shining on to the string, which is fluorescing. So to the left of this image, closer to the lathe, you can see that it's fully red, bright. And as we come along here, you can see the string gets less fluorescent, and the laser is actually onto the steel beam, which is extending out across the bed of the lathe. Now, so that means that the lathe is actually leaning out towards the operator, so I need to tilt it back just a little bit. What I'll do is I'll just take a clip with the laser raised fractionally. You'll see where the laser then shines brightly on the string at the end. So I raised the laser probably 1 millimeter, maybe a little more, and you can see that it is now bright. The string is fluorescing brightly towards the end of the beam, and as we go across here towards the lathe, the laser beam is actually passing above the string now and is actually on the wall in the background, which you can actually see. You can just see the line there, about there. To give you an idea of just how sensitive this is, what I've got is the laser beam is slightly above the string on the left as we're looking at it, and you can see the red laser mark on the wall behind. Now this is a concrete floored garage, and I'm standing about a foot or two behind where the laser is mounted on a wooden trestle. So I'm just going to stamp my feet on the concrete floor, and you can see the effect it has on the laser. So things are moving minuscule amounts, and you can see the effect of the laser bumping up and down over top of the string. So it's very, very, very clear when you've got the laser lined up, and you can see it along the length of the beam. And in fact, if we look along the length, you can see how the laser is towards the end here. It's causing the string to fluoresce quite a bit, but down here it's actually on the beam itself, and the the string is not fluorescing as much as towards the end here. So it's really obvious when you consider the length of this, which is probably a metre and a half out from the lathe to the end, and the allot that within horizontal, well, according to my cheap laser, within horizontal of the thickness of the string. And I've tried putting a 1mm copper plate under the outer edge here to lift it up, and it goes too far. So as you can see here, it's actually got the copper plate under it, and it's up too high. Actually, I've made a mistake in that last small part of the video. I've taken the 1mm thick copper plate out, and I've put in a piece of cereal packet, and it is still too high, and without it it's a little bit low. So just gives you some sort of idea of how accurately you can get it horizontal, or as horizontal as my laser is, but certainly the same front and back. It's easy to do, apart from the fact that it's really touchy to adjustment. I've put various combinations of packers under the end of the lathe to make it horizontal as measured by this laser. If I had the room, I'd take the laser around the other side of the string and look back, and so you'd have it, if there was an error, it would be in one direction from this side and from the other direction on the other side. What this is showing now is just how sensitive this is. So I'm again standing about 2 feet behind where the laser is mounted on a wooden trestle. It's on a concrete floor in my garage. So if I just rock from foot to foot, there you can see there's enough movement in the concrete floor, which is pretty astounding really when you consider there's a house built on top of it. But anyway, there you go. So that's that end done. I'll bring it back to the headstock end and just try and get it a little bit better. I've got that end is pretty much perfect, and if we look along the length of the string here, you can see that it's fluorescing pretty much evenly from one end to the other. So as far as it lines up perfectly with that laser, which should be reasonably level, hopefully.